The real difference between a creator that lasts and a creator that was chasing virality is the strategy behind it. No one can replicate your personal brand. That will always 100% be uniquely yours to own.
People don't know the difference between going viral and just posting out content and actually having a community.
The starting off period for a creator should be nothing but fun. Followers and views are a vanity metric. That's dying out now. You can have 10,000 views, but if you've got 150 comments under that post and they're all saying, oh my God, this is amazing, I'm gonna go buy this, that's incredible purchase intent.
A lot of people will get disheartened seeing I've got 100 views. 100 people is still a lot of people.
The main difference with creators that aren't managed and creators that are managed is that with management, we're thinking 3 to 6 months ahead, and creators that aren't managed are maybe thinking 1 to 2 weeks ahead. The best investment you can make is in yourself.
Ever wondered what goes into building a creator brand that actually lasts, not just going viral, but real income and longevity? Today, I'm going to be sitting down with the talent manager at 16 that works with some of the biggest creators in the UK. She's going to be pulling back the curtain on what exactly goes into these personal brands and what the strategy actually looks like behind it, so you and I can steal a little bit of those tips and apply it to our own brands. So let's get into the video.
So before we get into strategy, I kind of want to understand the person behind it. You know, with talent management, it's one of those careers most people don't know exists until they're already deep into the creator space, and the path isn't always obvious. So tell us your background, how you got into talent management, what you were doing before, what that journey kind of looked like.
So I went to uni at Leeds and I studied business and marketing. Which actually, funnily enough, influencers were not a part of that course. I'm not going to reveal my age, but that you can guess. So that was kind of my first look into kind of the business world, business scope. Then I always knew that I wanted to work in an agency. I thought it was going to be kind of like a PR ad agency. I thought it was going to be like, you know, Devil Wears Prada vibes.
I watched that yesterday.
Did you? Is it good? I've not seen it yet. Okay, I need to go and watch it. So then I started applying for agencies, and I got a job as a campaign executive working for one of the biggest influencer marketing agencies in London, still around today, work with them closely now, just on the other side. And I loved that role. I was there for 3.5 years. I learned so much during that time, but it was quite transactional. So, and it was as good as the clients that you were put on. So all the part of the role that I really enjoyed, which was like working with the creators, the strategy side of it, the briefing, you know, if I got to go to shoots or events, I'd be filming with them. And it was the kind of in-person side of it, the networking side of it. All of that part that I really enjoyed actually lent itself really well to talent management. And I was always kind of, don't know if I'd ever go into talent side, because I'd worked with, let's say, some less good talent managers, talent agencies. So I was kind of a bit like, maybe not right. But the one that I'm with now, 16th, I kind of manifested that role, and I was like, they are tip top, one of the best, love working with them. And if I was ever to go talent side, it would be with an agency like 16th. So after working with them quite closely, I knew a lot of the team. My director, who is now my director now, got promoted, and she kind of reached out and she was like, would you ever consider going talent side? And yeah, I was like, do you know what? Could be a good move, could be an interesting one. I did it and I've never looked back, and I just love it. I just love how hands-on it is, how much I actually am working to build these businesses. I'm working to build the careers of these creators. And yeah, it's a hard but busy job, but I love it.
Okay, so what does a day-to-day kind of look like if you kind of break that down? Because again, I feel like a lot of people understand what talent managers actually do.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Every day is different, but that's also what I love. Like for me and for most talent managers, like your roster is almost like your own mini business. So, you know, you choose who you work with, and you know, equally they choose you and they choose to stick around, but it's very much strategy building. So we'll have meetings, we'll have our bi-weekly calls, and we'll go through what brands they've spoken about that week, you know, what brands they've used, have they thought of any, you know, new partnerships that they'd like to work on, what are their comments saying, what's their audience asking for, what type of content's going out this week. So that's kind of like the strategy behind it. So much of it is meetings. I like in-person meetings. I don't know what's happening at the moment. It is festival, conference, shoot season. Like I spend like 1 day in the office at the moment, and the rest of it is going to conferences, going to shoots. So that's a big part of it, is obviously relationship building, networking with clients, agencies, brands, making sure that, you know, everyone knows what my talent is up to. Working with the marketing team on any highlights to make sure that our socials are up to date. sourcing new talent. It's like the list is endless, but it keeps it fresh, keeps it exciting.
Okay. And is there a particular reason you kind of wanted to work in the creator industry? Because obviously you studied business. There's so many routes you can go into with business anyway, but why did you want to work in the creator industry?
I mean, when I got started, it was so new. Like, I feel like obviously creators have been around since, you know, the times of YouTube, like 10, 12 years ago, like some of the biggest creators obviously started there. But I feel like when I actually got into it, it was really new and shiny and exciting. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll be an influencer. Died a death very, very quickly. I tried my hand at uni. It's awful. Do not scroll back on my Instagram. It's like awful. But I always loved that side of it. But I think I really loved the creative side of it. I loved being behind the camera. I loved planning the outfits. I loved, you know, finding backgrounds, finding things like that. And I mean, from when I first started in it, the scope has changed so much. Like, now when I look at the creators that I seek out and I manage and I work with, and what really excites me, they are founders, they are business minds, they are, you know, personal finance creators, and they're actually educating audiences. And I think, you know, what drew me to it was kind of like the shiny, fun, you know, lifestyle content, going to events. But now what's kept me here and what I'm loving is this new wave of like intellectual influencers, like the next generation of creators. They have things to say. They are learning. They are teaching. They are like, you know, educating with their content. And yeah, I love it.
Fab. So now kind of going into what makes a creator brand last. So this is something I think everyone, you know, wanting to get into content or who's building online needs to hear. So, you know, going viral and building a brand are completely different things. With 16th, it was founded on the idea of helping creators go beyond their 15 minutes of fame. So what separates people? I did indeed. What separates those from who...
Sorry, threw you off there completely.
Separates those who last? Or what is the difference between a creator who blows up and one who actually builds a long-lasting career, and what separates the two?
Okay. I think the obvious difference with creators that just go viral or that they're chasing virality is the lack of strategy. I think the real difference between a creator that lasts and... Actually, let me say that differently. I think the real difference between a creator that lasts and a creator that, you know, just goes viral or is chasing virality is the strategy behind it. I think the creators that I manage, you know, they're not chasing that sugar rush of that virality, that, you know, if I do this, it'll go huge and then I'll get seen. Like, they're not following trends. Like, they're not jumping on viral moments and using the TikTok sounds and things like that just to get views. Because, you know, followers and views sometimes can be a really like big vanity metric. And, you know, when I'm looking for creators, great, you've got 200,000 followers, but what's your content saying? What's your comments saying? How many people are saving it? You know, what's your average watch time on YouTube? That means so much more than just like, oh, look, they've got a few videos that hit 1 million. Because also, if you can't keep up with that afterwards, then, you know, you're constantly chasing that high and you're losing sight of what your personal brand is, which is, you know, we'll go on to later, which is the most important thing. What your personal brand is, what your message is, what your audience is. If you're just chasing, you know, the views and going viral, you're also not in it for the right purpose, I don't think. And that's the real difference that makes a creator brand last or, you know, burn out.
So when you guys kind of take on new creators, how do you know this person's going to have longevity in the industry? Or maybe how do you create that longevity for them? Because I can imagine a lot of people might build their personal brand or start making content, but then don't know how to navigate that longevity or navigate getting brand deals and whatnot. So how do you go about that?
I think when I speak to creators, when I'm having, you know, new talent calls, or even if I'm just meeting them at an event or something, I'll always ask them, like, what else? Like, what else is there? You know, you've got your social and your content, like, that's incredible. But what else are you doing? What's the big picture? What's the goal? So there's an analogy that I always use, and it's like, if you had a table and the influencer is the table, and you have content and social as one pillar, then you might have a podcast or a book, or you might have business or like an IP that you've created. Like, if you remove one of those table legs, it should still stand without that one thing. So creators that are just completely over-reliant on posting, like, you know, I don't know, I've got my TikTok and that's all I do kind of thing. You're like, okay, you know what, brilliant. And that will work in the short term. And, you know, you'll get your views and you'll get those brand partnerships. But you need to think long term and think of yourself as a business. Creators are businesses. And, you know, the girls that I manage, they know that they're businesses and everyone else knows that they're businesses. But if you're not thinking about yourself in that way, if you're thinking, I just post videos online, that's the difference where you're going to fall off. But, you know, obviously that's where management can step in and help you. Like, we've seen some creators, we've got like top tier creators that obviously are at like the absolute peak that we, you know, will go and we'll sign and we'll nurture those relationships. But we've also got investment creators, and they might have, you know, under 50,000 followers, but what they're creating is incredible. And, you know, they're educating, they're putting so much thought and time into their content. It's polished, it's accurate, it's, you know, it's brandable. And if we can spot that and say, you know, we can see this brand working with you and slotting into this style of content, you know, if it's shot in a certain way, like it's finance content, but it's got a lifestyle leaning lens, or it looks like a vlog, like that is what brands look for. And so that's what we can pick up on. And then it's just about shaping the strategy. And it's like, okay, if you were to think bigger, you know, what do your top 3 dream retainers look like? Do you want to do a book? Do you want to do a podcast? What, you know, where can we take you beyond? It's like, you can be doing this much, and then management can take you that little bit further and open those doors and work with you on that strategy to make it, you know, a solid brand, a solid business.
Okay. And when it comes to like, okay, let's say those starting out, because I feel like a lot of people think they need to niche down and they need to focus on, let's say, travel content or business content, but they also might be a gym girly or this or that.
Amazing.
How important would you say like niching down actually is?
I think niche is quite misunderstood. I think when you say niche, you just think vertical, which is like, you know, like you said, then a gym girl, you think, okay, fine, fitness, or like they talk about business, so therefore they can only talk about business. Like, one of my creators is through and through a personal finance creator, but everything that she talks about leans back into her brand. So I think personal brand.
Are you able to mention the person?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you want me to mention the person?
Yeah, go mention the person.
Mia McGrath, who we love. But like, Mia is a personal finance creator, but because, like I was saying before, her content is so beautifully shot, it's polished, it's, you know, she puts that time and effort in, and she also mixes it up by doing vlogs. So, you know, when I first started working with her, which is back in November, I signed her and we were like, let's throw some things at the wall and see what sticks. Let's like work with a few brands, see what you like, see what you don't like. And, you know, we were working with some clothing companies, we worked with some skincare. You know, some worked better than others. But then she can also then go and work with a trading company and a bank, because it still feeds back in, but everything comes back down to the nice little branded personal package of Frugal Chic. So that's what we look for. And like, when I'm having that call, I'm like, what would you want people to think your brand is? Like, what would you, if you're just a stranger on the street, obviously, you know, brands, agencies, talent managers, we know what we're looking for. But if you're just someone on the street, like, how would you want someone to look at your content and be like, oh, they should work with this brand, and this brand?
Yeah.
Anyone should be able to pick out 3 brands. You shouldn't have to, you know, be a talent manager to do that. And they, you know, brands are essentially quite lazy. Like, you know, sorry, brands. But they just need to be able to see their product and see their brand in that content without having to use their brains so much. So I think niche is quite misunderstood. I think niche, you just automatically think, you know, if you create food content, you're a foodie, or if you create fitness content, you have to just stick in sports, when you don't. As long as you've got an overarching theme or a personal brand that you can tie everything back to, then that allows you so much more diversification in your content. Like, when I'm having new talent calls, I'll say, you know, what would you describe your niche as? What do you want to be known as? And then from that, we'll look at subcategories under that. And it's like, okay, you can be a personal finance creator, like Mia McGrath, who I manage. You can be a personal finance creator, but you can also talk about lifestyle. You can also, you know, shoot a get ready with me. You can also do skincare, and it could be a daytime routine. And as long as it pulls back down to your personal brand, or almost like your tagline, we call it a shop window. I've got another girl, Maddie Borg, who I manage, and she's like, I'm a Norwegian living in London, or I'm a travel creator turned business owner. And it's reintroducing that, like, within that, you have so much scope to do that. So as long as you've got your clear brand, your clear personal brand, your clear tagline, your clear shop window, you have so much freedom with under that to work with brands, to experiment, to try different partnerships. It just all needs to ladder up to the same thing.
Okay. I'm just thinking in relation to myself as well, because obviously I'm at a much smaller scale, but even with my YouTube channel, it was started off more travel because I love to travel, and then more business content and like teaching people about marketing, this, that, and the other, but also mindset and whatnot. And I'm just trying to think, and I feel like exactly what a lot of people I feel like watching this will probably think is like, okay, how do I go about making sure like, yes, I love travel, but I want the business because obviously I get clients in through the business content, but then also the mindset is important. So how would you kind of say to structure that, or what should I focus on to build the brand, I suppose?
I think it's just what makes your unique identity. Like, what do you want to be known for? If it's like, God, this is a really morbid example that I've just thought of, but like, if you're thinking of your tombstone, or like, let's go CV instead, that's much nicer. If you're thinking your CV, your LinkedIn, your one sentence tagline, you know, how you introduce yourself for a podcast, like, what do you want that to be? Like, I'm a business owner, or a travel creator turned business owner. You know, Mia's is I'm a personal finance creator and founder of the Frugal Chic movement. You know, and it can be too, they can be a little bit wordier, but you just need to think like, what is your, I just knocked that.
It's okay. It's okay.
Like, what is your one tagline? What's your strapline? What's your shop window? What would go on your CV, not your tombstone? And then everything under that, as long as that stays consistent, you have the freedom to try things like that. It's like almost your umbrella term, and then you have all your pillars underneath. As long as it all ladders up and makes sense within that umbrella, then you don't need to worry about niching down and just sticking in one lane, because also it's boring. Like, no one wants to, you know, just watch, here's what I did in a day, like my day in the life around it. Like, they will watch that, but they're also investing in the person.
I feel like that's a very good point. Sorry to interrupt. I was just going to say, because I got on a call the other day and it was someone who was going to be a potential client, and they came in from my YouTube and they were like, I love the business content, but it was also great to see you had a personality through the travel content. And I was like, oh, okay.
100%. Like the days of the aesthetic, you know, just vlogs with nice music over the top, no talking, they're so done. Like, they're so done. And I think that's what the new generation of creators are really getting and really doing really, really well. Like, that's why everyone's buying into them. And like, Mia's been such a success. She's absolutely blown up because people are invested in her. And, you know, her, you know, the transparency that she puts into her content and gives to her audience, like, that's what people are buying into. It's no longer this like aspirational, just show me your unreal holiday and where you ate. It's very much like, what's the story? How are you building your business? You know, what went wrong? Like, some of the best businesses around now, like Amy, the founder of Odd Muse, like, she showed all of the trials and tribulations of every part of that journey. And that's what creators are doing so well, even if they're not actually building a physical business, but it's just their journey on what they're trying, what's going, you know, what they're doing in their day, how they're, you know, showing up to events, and how they're, you know, buying new equipment to help them film their content, things like that. It's all about the story. It's all about the storyline. And that storyline is what is personal to you and will give you your personal brand.
And I feel like that's such a good point, especially for business owners as well, because from what I've seen, a lot of younger people are kind of moving away from just seeing faceless brands and like, oh, okay,
100%.
you know, I like their products, but it's I don't know the founder, I don't know where they've started it. But like you said, with Odd Moose and a couple of the clients I've worked with, people actually buy into the founder
People buy
too.
people.
So yeah,
that's people buy people, and that's whether it's actually physically buying from them a product, or it's buying your time, buying your, you know, your follow, buying your engagement. Like, if you are just posting an aesthetic dump of, you know, a new launch or a flat lays of something to do with your business, like, it's not engaging. No one wants that. Like, in this era especially, like, everyone is lacking connection. Everyone is searching for that connectivity. And the creators that are giving that and providing that, the business owners that are giving that and providing that, that sneak peek, that, you know, welcome into my life, and that transparency, they're the ones that are hooking the attention and holding the audiences.
Okay. Now, moving into strategy and the strategy behind how these brands actually grow, can you kind of walk us through what a growth strategy looks like for a creator you're managing and how you build it, what goes into it, all of that jazz?
So I think the main difference with creators that aren't managed and creators that are managed is that with management, we're thinking 6 months ahead, 3 to 6 months ahead. And creators that aren't managed are maybe thinking 1 to 2 weeks ahead. And by that, I mean, we are, from the minute that a creator signs, we have this big strategy meeting, and I will say, okay, what is the big 3? What are your 3 absolute dream retainers? And by that, I'm meaning year-long partnerships, like set the goal absolutely high. And we'll work backwards from that. And often they'll choose a lifestyle one, you know, a finance one, a business one, and it will be 3 different verticals. So that's kind of how we set our long-term sites. And then from that, working backwards, we'll make sure that everything ladders up to that. Similarly, if they've got a goal, like their end goal for the year is, I want to do a book, I want to do a podcast. We're like, okay, perfect. What do we need to do in the meantime to get you ready for that? We need to get you on podcasts. We need to, you know, get your name out there with Spotify, with YouTube. We need to, you know, help you in investing in studio equipment and practice and line up some guests. Or if it's a book, introducing you to publishers, you know, are you writing it? How can we help you write it? What's the goal? Like, that's where our connections and our, you know, foundations of a company really come into play. And that's what we can, you know, we can open those doors and we can work with the creators on shaping that strategy. Because you can be an absolutely incredible creator, but you might not have the circle, you might not have the connections, you might not be able to actually get in the rooms that are going to allow you to open those doors and grow. So that's obviously what we can help with.
And also linking to my event,
absolutely.
We'll get onto that.
Yeah.
But,
Sure.
Exactly. But okay, so with that, I'm just thinking for people starting out who are maybe at 0 or under 10K or whatnot, how would you kind of tell them in the beginning stages to kind of structure things? Obviously, you guys look at people where they're at 50K or beyond, but what would they need to do, whether, like you said, rather than planning content 6 days ahead, plan it 3 months ahead, or what are the little things you'd say to do for them?
I mean, it depends what their goal is. Like, if they just want to have fun with it and they just want to post content, then, like, incredible. Post as much as you can. Like, the starting off period for a creator should be nothing but fun. It should be trial and error, everything. Throw it at the wall, see what sticks, you know, try different formats, try different, you know, musics, talking to camera, doing this. While you've got no audience, that's your experimentation fun time. But now, and what I hope all smaller creators are thinking of this, is a long-term sustainable career. And they're thinking, okay, I want to be the next X. Look at what these people are doing, you know, get close to what these people are doing. Like, look at the brands that they're working with. But then, you know, I'm not saying emulate them or copy them, but I'm saying look at what you do every day. Again, all roads lead back to personal branding. What are you creating this content for? Are you trying to educate? Are you trying to entertain? Are you seeing this as your career and you want to do it long term? What does that look like? Do you want to build IP with that? Do you want to go on to do a business? I mean, you also might not know this at 10K, which is absolutely fair. But I think, you know, going into this as this is a legitimate career and this will take it, you know, this will take me long term. This will allow me to, you know, fulfill my dreams of whatever that is. I think seeing content as a way to achieve X is also a really good way to think about it. You know, I want to start my own business. Okay, fantastic. But you need to build that audience, build that trust. Like you were saying with your personal business, you need to get that content out there so people find you, so people do that. But yeah, I'd say experiment when you're small but have the long-term goal in mind so that you have something to consistently work towards.
Okay. And within that, how important would you say like data analytics is informing? Because obviously it informs the types of creatives you do, the types of like just everything, I think. And not a lot of people kind of look at that and actually analyze it properly. And again, if you're starting out, you might not have huge amounts of data you can like pick from, but how do you kind of use that to inform the decisions you make with the creators you work with?
As long as you're posting, you've got data. Like you have data to pull from, and that could literally be, what did those 3 people who commented on my post comment? Like, you know, it could literally be, did anyone save this? You know, I think I mentioned it before, but followers and views are a vanity metric. That's dying out now. You know, brands and agencies, talent managers are looking for so much more than that. You can have 10,000 views, but if you've got 150 comments under that post and they're all saying, oh my God, this is amazing, I'm going to go buy this. That's incredible purchase intent. Like, that's huge. The sentiment analysis is such a big thing that agencies look for. Like when I was back in my old role, we would do a whole slide, PTSD, a whole slide in the deck in our post-campaign wrap-up report. And it was all about the sentiment analysis. And it'd be, you know, purchase intent and positive or negative or, you know, questions. And then we'd look at, is the influencer engaging back with them? Are they replying to those comments? You know, are they helping build that narrative, boosting that ad themselves? So that's all like very important data that anyone that is posting online can look at. I really wouldn't worry so much about follower growth. And, you know, those creators, who I absolutely love, and they will say on podcasts and on public speaking gigs, they don't care about the followers. Their audience have stuck with them. They've stayed through them. They will, pick up whatever they're putting down, and that's all that matters to them. They're not chasing this overnight huge growth, because I don't think it's as important anymore.
Yeah. And I think it's an important thing to, again, with new small creators, I feel like you do have to, like you said, it's all vanity metrics, because I feel like a lot of people will get disheartened seeing, oh, I've got 100 views or I've got 50 likes or this, that and the other. But I saw this is very random, a post on Instagram, and it was like, I feel like people have got very detached from how many, like, 100 people is still a lot of people.
Oh my gosh,
if 100 people came in this, or 50 people came in this room and said, oh my God, I really like that post, or
we'd have a party.
Exactly. I'd be like, okay, thank you. So yeah, I think it's definitely something you need to drill in your brain. I've had to do myself, because again, you look at, I don't know, 50 likes or 100 views, and you're like,
100%. I post a holiday dump and I'm like, where are all of my friends? But also that happens at every stage. Like, creators are calling out the algorithms. Like, sometimes it's not even, a lot of the time, it's not even the creator's fault, There's some of the biggest creators, even the girls that I manage, like, they'll post a TikTok and it can only reach 50,000 people. The next one can be 1 million. And there's no rhyme or reason for that happening, apart from, they're being a bit done over by the algorithm. But you've just got to stick to your guns. And again, all roads lead back to personal branding. But like, sometimes it's completely out of your control. Some of the biggest creators can get a viral 1 million views video the next, and then a 50,000 views. And you're like, and it's purely the algorithm just doing what the algorithms love to do.
Yeah.
So you can't get disheartened by it. But everything comes back to your message, your audience. Who are you putting that message out for? Why are you creating? You've just got to double down, put it out anyway, and not chase followers.
Yeah, true. And sometimes you don't know who's watching. In those 100 views, it might be 2 people, 1 person who's going to give you a great opportunity.
It could be anyone. It could be a brand. It could be an agency. It could just be someone that loves your content and will bring you up in conversation later. They'll be like, oh my God, did you see that really cool video that Luella did? And they'll be like, no. And you'll be like, here it is. And they'll be like, okay, then you've got 2 people watching your videos.
Very true. Very true. Alrighty. Okay. Now moving on to brand deals, partnerships, how creators actually make money. I think a lot of people, or maybe recently it's a lot more known, but a lot of people think creators make money just from posting or the platforms. But the reality is it's a lot more structured than that. And actually understanding how it works is very important when you're coming up as a business owner or a creator. So how do brand partnerships actually work at the level, the creators you're working with, and how do you find them, negotiate them, structure the pricing for your creators?
So like I was saying before, in those strategy meetings, they are so important, because that sets the tone, that sets the goals. We talk about the brands that they use authentically as well. Like, the best kind of partnerships don't feel like partnerships. They feel, inevitable. They don't feel forced. It's like, oh, of course they're working with X brand inside here, because they've been talking about them since forever. Or, it just makes so much sense that, of course, a personal finance creator is going to have an ambassadorship with a bank. Like, it should just feel like all the chips fall into place. So they're the best kind of partnerships. So when we have those strategy meetings, we will discuss the brands that they're authentically using. And then I'll obviously come with my brands. I've got experience of the agency's network and, the other creators that I've worked with and who they've worked with. And, we'll look at case studies of creators that they also love and are similar to, or they're like, I want to be the next blah. And we'll work backwards from that. And then so much of my role is proactive pitching. Like, I think when I moved from agency to talent, I thought it was going to be maybe a bit of an easier role. Like every talent manager out there now is probably like, but I thought it was just kind of, answering the inbounds, some strategy, going to shoots. And it's so much more than that, but I'm so glad that it's so much more than like we track everything that we sign off as an agency, and 75% of what we sign off is proactive pitching, which means that the opportunity didn't just land in our inbox. The opportunity wasn't there before. We've gone out and we've chased that, whether that's through an event, through a networking lunch, through, meeting with agencies and being like, here is my roster, here's the wider agency roster, what brands are you working on, how can we work together? Going to networking events and sitting next to the marketing director of whoever, things like that. And it's really, so much of the role is that. And that allows us to get the best deals, form the best relationships, you know, make sure that all these agencies and brands are super aware of all of our talent and what they've got coming up. And essentially, it's so much of it is a sales focused role, and it's negotiating the fees, making sure that the usage aligns with the fee, making sure that the exclusivity is accounted for. Whereas, you know, for smaller creators, again, when I signed Mia, she was just signing away her usage rights. She was just agreeing to anything that was in the contract because she didn't know. She didn't know any better. She hadn't, you know, done it before. And they were just banging in all sorts. They were banging in page usage. They were banging in a year of organic, like reposting rights, collab feature. And, you know, that's where our specialities lie. And we make sure that all of our creators are credited for that. Like the fees need to match that. And obviously if it comes along and there's a dream brand and they're like, transparently, we only have this budget, then we'll still make it work for them. But, you know, our ability to turn one-off campaigns into long-standing ambassadorships and retainers is where management really thrives and helps smaller creators.
Okay. And then when it comes down to like making sure a brand is right for a creator, how do you, because this kind of popped into my head because I mentioned to you, one of my friends, Dominique Travels, I'd done a video with her last week, and she kind of mentioned like when it comes to, you know, picking brand deals or working with brands, she doesn't just think of herself and obviously, oh my God, I'm going to make money of it, like from this, but also she has an audience that trusts her, that she's so built this community. And if she's, you know, putting out a brand deal that they know is not aligning with her. So I feel like you can see, and there's a lot of creators out there, you can see when they've just taken a brand deal for the money,
and
or
they're
it's
the
like,
ones that aren't thinking long term.
Exactly.
Like, you know, you've got to think opportunity cost. You've got to think, you know, we think about like exclusivity. So, okay, you take one partnership with a bank, you can't work with another bank, but it's also the exclusivity of like you and your message. Like you should be selective. You should be, but again, it depends what stage you're at. Obviously, at the beginning, it is fine to, you know, pick up a few brand deals, have a go, see what it's like working on a partnership, understanding briefs, looking at the do's and don'ts, following that, working out what page usage is. You know, I think you really need to just make sure that you're educated on all of that. Like, yes, management is amazing and it's second nature to us and we know how to do that. But creators should be super aware of that at all levels to protect themselves as well. But when it comes to brand partnerships, you know, there have been a couple that we have tried, me and my creators, in the past. And, you know, it's either maybe the brief was too tight, so it wasn't actually fun to work on. And it was like, you know, was it worth it? Would I do it again? Maybe not. Did the audience react badly to it? I mean, there's been a couple that we were absolutely like, it'll be completely fine. I think they'll really like it. And they haven't. And we've been like, oh, okay, caught by surprise. But, you know, that's part of the testing phase and the testing ability for creators. You know, they want to stay diversified. You can't just lock yourself in to one niche, one vertical, because, you know, it's not fun for you. It's not fun for your audience. And there's contracts at place. So, you know, you can't work with all of them. But I think it's trying, but then being very happy to walk away when it doesn't work. And also happy to turn things down if you know it doesn't work. Like Mia actually did a video recently and it was all the money that she'd actually turned down from deals. And it was like nearly 5 figures, you know? But that's good. And as a manager, you know, I'm not going to be like, oh, just do it and, you know, take the money. I would always be like, okay, perfect, happy. Why? Why? Is it your audience? Is it the brand? Can we work our way around it? Can we up the deliverables? Is it the fee? Is it, you know, where are we not aligning? And then from that, that's very much on me to be like, okay, noted, not again, you know? And some will rule out some whole categories because we just know the audience won't like it, but it's just not worth the risk sometimes. I think if you've got that like niggle, if you're like, oh, I don't think it's going to land well, or I don't think I'm going to enjoy working on it, it's going to feel forced. It's not worth it. Bigger and better brands are coming.
True. And your audience will thank you for it because they know you're not fake.
Exactly. You don't want to be a sellout. No one likes a sellout.
Alrighty. Okay. So now kind of moving on to what holds people back and how to get out of your own way.
Yeah.
Again, you kind of work with some of the biggest creators in the UK. So what have you kind of seen mindset-wise from those who have, you know, or let's just say common barriers you see with, let me rephrase that. What have you kind of seen with bigger creators that you work with and how they kind of get out of their own way. They make sure they're on it. They've got to where they are compared to those they have the potential to get there, and they have the potential to have this big personal brand, but it's kind of in the mindset and it's holding them back, and they're thinking, oh, I couldn't do those things, or that's not for me. Or they look at, let's say, Mia or all these big creators, and they're like, oh my gosh, I could never get to those. So what do you,
I mean, it is not revolutionary at all, but just doing it. Like, oh my God, what's it, done is better than perfect, that quote. And it really is. Like, you know, Maddie, when she was building her business Pastel, she was like hand drawing everything. I mean, she still does draw these, but like hand drawing everything. She was emailing loads of factories, trying to get, you know, contacts, getting samples. She was sampling for like 6 months. She didn't have a design background. She didn't have, you know, friends who own factories and you know, anything like that. She didn't know about distribution, but she was just like, I'm passionate about this. I believe in this product, and I'm going to have a go. And that, you know, that's the same as if you're, you know, through your content journey, you've grown a platform, you've grown an audience, and you want to start a business or a podcast or a book. But that goes right down to literally just picking up the phone and posting that first video. And, you know, I totally understand. Like, it's scary. Like, I never did it. Like, I tried.
You tried. There was an attempt.
there was a slight attempt. But like, you know, it's not for everyone. But if that's what you cannot stop thinking about, you're waking up, you're like, oh my God, I just want to be a creator. I just want to educate. I just want to teach people. Just do it. Just do it and learn along the way as well. Like, when you look at creators who, you know, started 5 years ago, their content's rubbish. Like, it's janky, it's poorly edited, it's not color graded, you know, it's been shot on an iPhone. Like, I mean, obviously most of it still is now, but it's like, now when you look where they've come and they've polished it, they've refined their craft, they can read a brand brief in their sleep, they know how to work on that. That's where you're going, but you've just got to start.
Yeah, and it comes with practice, I suppose.
100%.
You're going to get better over time, because even how you said with a brand brief, I helped my friend Dominique Travels. You literally, I was with her last week and she was doing a brand collab, whatever, and she was going through the brief, and I saw like how detailed it was, and she was like, okay, we film it like this and we go like this and we do, and I suppose it just comes with practice, because as you do more, obviously you're not going to start off and be perfect, but it comes with time. So,
exactly. Time, experience. And then you'll hone your craft as well, like whether that's personal brand or actually honing the craft of making the videos and getting it out there. And then, it'll just be like second nature to you. But, you know, but you've got to have that passion. You've got to have that drive. You've got to see it as a business. You've got to be like, this is the thing that I want to do and see myself doing. What's the point?
True. Okay, so kind of finishing on personal brand, because again, I feel like people kind of don't know the difference between going viral and just having posting out content and actually having a community, having a big, like a personal brand. What would you define as a personal brand?
I would define basic terms. Your personal brand is what makes you uniquely you. What do you have to say, and who do you want to say it to? You know, I think there's such a misconception now that because the barriers to entry to being a creator have never been lower. Like, it is so easy. Like, you know, back to my last point, anyone can pick up a phone, start shooting, post online, and, you know, you can technically become a bit of a creator, but no one can replicate your personal brand. That will always 100% be uniquely yours to own. And that's, you know, your voice. What do you have to say, and who do you want to say it to? That's your style. Is it, you know, is it choppy? Is it cinematic? Are you fun face to camera? Is it talking head? Is it, you know, do you want it to be almost like a webinar, like a message? Like, there is so much that makes up a personal brand, and that's only for you to decide. And you've got to just decide that, stick to your guns, and make sure that everything ladders back down to that.
Okay. So what few actionable steps would you take? Let's say someone, I don't know, freshly starting out and kind of trying to navigate that. Again, from what you kind of said before, I suppose you're trying different things and you're seeing what works for you. But is there any way you would kind of say, as you're growing, let's say someone's at 10K actually, and they're trying to build that core pillars, what would you kind of say is like, this is what you need to do?
Like, what are you posting for? Like, what's happened in your life? Like, you know, oh God, what's her name? Oh, I can't think of her name. Amma. and she started
From Plant Made.
Plant Made.
Yeah.
Like, her story is incredible. Wait, shall I say that?
You can. I think that's such a shame with the person who brought that business, because why would you buy a founder-led business and then...
So bad. I listened to, off grid, but I listened to her first podcast when she was on Ladies Who Launch with Michelle Humes. And then she was on it again recently. And she was on it the first time, and then the business was taken off her like a month later. So they got her back on to talk about it. And I was just like, sounds harrowing. So bad.
Yeah, it's sad. But...
Yeah, really sad. Anyway, sorry, I digress. Another good podcast. What was the question again? Sorry.
About how someone's starting out building those core pillars.
So it's looking at what you have to offer. You know, if you're starting a business, you're looking for the gap in the market. You're looking for, what can I do, build, make, say, with my experience, with my network, with my, you know, whatever, and put that out into the world. It's the exact same with content. Like, what can I offer that no one else can offer? And whether that is, you know, I can go on the best travels and I can find the best restaurants and I can do this. Like, okay, fine. But like, how are you going to make that personal to you? How are you going to tweak that? Like, what else do you have to offer? Like, can you do it in a funny way? Can you do it, you know, with someone else? Can you do it in an educational way? Does it tie back down to finance? Are you looking for the cheapest eats, the most expensive eats, you know, things like that? Like, I guess on the one hand, you could say that the creative marketing industry is saturated in some way. And I think that is also what a lot of people maybe holds them back from starting. But you always have something unique to offer.
Nobody's going to be out there like you.
Exactly.
So...
Personal brand. It's in the name. That's what it says on the tin. It's personal. But it's looking at that. And like, that takes time as well. Like, you know, before you get to the point of having 100,000, or before you get to the point of reaching out to management and being like, I want that business partner and I want that growth, be your own business partner. Sit, do a mind map, like, stick you in the middle and do what, you know, what do I talk about? What are my passions? What do I have that's unique? Have I, you know, grown up in a different area? Do I have an accent? Do I, you know, all the things that make you inherently you? What can I add to that? What did you study at uni? Like, you know, what are your passions? What do you do on the side? Are you a running girly who, you know, also wants to save money or also likes to cook? There is so much that you can dig into and shape a personal brand. Like, I think the term personal brand must feel so scary to people. And I think it's bandied around a lot at the moment. You know, even talent managers now are getting personal brands, which I absolutely love. And, you know, just as we stalk creators when we're looking to sign them, they're now stalking us back.
Yeah.
Which, like, fair enough. Like, you've got to know who you want to work with and see if you've got the vibe off them as well. But I think people get scared by personal brand because they think that means business, or like that means like personal brand means I have to have IP. I have to have, you know, a product to sell. I have to have a podcast straight from the off. And you don't. It's just your tagline. It's just what makes you is your personal brand.
Okay, love that. Right. Now, this is obviously close to my heart because the reason I created Why Not You, because even at, you know, the 16th, even at that level with the management, with the strategy, with all the brand deals in place, how you mentioned earlier, the rooms you're in and the people you're connecting with and the conversations you're having still matter a lot.
100%.
So how or why would you say community is important when you're building a personal brand, when you're wanting to get started? Yeah, we'll start with that.
I mean, the best investment you can make is in yourself, right? Like, whether that's, you know, getting yourself in those rooms physically, buying a ticket to get into those rooms, whether that's upskilling yourself with a course, whether that's going to a workshop, going to a webinar. I mean, there's that